Hey guys, this is Jason Creel and you're watching The Lawn Care Life. Sometimes I get asked about equipment recommendations, and what I try to do is just tell people what I'm using because, you know, at the end of the day, that's what I'm familiar with and that's what I end up liking. And so I want to tell you today, I actually got an email today about what sprayer are you using. So I want to talk to you about the Graham spray tank that I've got. This is my second Graham unit. And I just got it last week because I've hired somebody, got a new truck, and had to get a new spray tank on it. So I'm going to show you today my 300-gallon Graham spray unit, and we'll talk about it for a minute. So Graham spray equipment, I tell people it's like anything. If you know, I use what has been recommended to me, and so when a piece of equipment is recommended, that's what I'm going to try. But that only gets you in the door as far as trying something. After that, I want to know, you know, is it a piece of equipment that I like and I'm going to use? Well, I bought my first Graham unit 3 years ago, a 400-gallon split unit. So that means it has a 300-gallon side and a 100-gallon side. And in 3 years, I have had, I think, literally the only thing go wrong with it, I had a wire come loose that I had to tighten up with a screwdriver. You know, so it's just been a rock solid, dependable unit. And so, you know, so I tell people I use Graham units, and I just went back and bought a second Graham unit. Now this time I got a 300-gallon split tank unit. Just picked it up last week, so I'm really excited about it, and just actually put it into use a few days ago. So I want to show you a little bit about it. All right, like I said, you got a split tank. Now why would you want a split tank instead of one tank? Well, for example, let me tell you how I usually use it. Like in my area, I'm dealing with 4 main grass types. I've got Bermuda and Zoysia, and I've got Centipede and St. Augustine. Now typically, I'm gonna treat the Bermuda and Zoysia yards basically the same as far as what I'm applying to them, with a few differences, but overall, those types of grasses typically get treated the same. And the same with the Centipede and St. Augustine. Again, there are a few exceptions, but overall, I try to keep the larger side of the tank set up for Bermuda and Zoysia, and the smaller side of the tank for Centipede and St. Augustine. So if I'm out spraying, you know, you can say, well, couldn't you just spray all your Bermuda Zoysias one day and then empty the tank and go back and spray all your Centipedes the next day? You know, I could do it that way, but sometimes a Centipede yard may be a long way off and it's the only one I have. So there's a lot of situations where it helps just being able to use 2 different products on 2 different sides of the tank. Maybe it's not having 2 different grass types. Maybe I'm out spraying in the summer, but we have an armyworm infestation. So I mix up the small side for armyworms, you know, and if I have a problem with that, I can take care of it on the spot. I don't have to come back and remix my tank or empty everything out. So there's a lot of advantages having a split tank, and it really, at the end of the day, doesn't cost that much more to have a split tank versus, you know, just one tank. So anyway, so you got your, you know, your fiberglass tanks. I use my rig here has a bean pump on it. Some of the other ones have different types of pumps, but that's what I've just become accustomed to. They have these the reels. I'm gonna spell it because I don't want to say it wrong. H-A-N-N-A-Y. I'm not sure how you say that, but that's the maker of these reels. So, you know, it's got a push button here that hooks up to your truck battery as far as winding up the reel. I'm still not sure if I have a 300 or 400 foot hose on here. I'm still hadn't figured that out yet. But and then the gun, you know, these are these Let's Go guns that you're gonna see a lot of people use. This one has the yellow nozzle, but you know, these guns have been around for a long time, and so that's what is on this tank. So anyway, you know, a Graham unit, like I said, it's not cheap. I'll just be honest with you. These rigs, depending on how you're going to configure them, probably going to be somewhere between $10,000 and $12,000. But for me, it's like the amount of money you would go spend on a nice zero-turn mower. I'm looking at a rig like this. Like I said, I've had the other one for 3 years, virtually no problems, and the amount of revenue that tank can generate you in 3 years is well worth the investment I put in. I mean, you basically have a Honda engine over here that's running, you know, that's running the piece of equipment. As long as that Honda engine's cranking and the pump, everything's working, I mean, you got a dependable piece of equipment here that can generate $1,000 revenue a day for year after year after year after year. You know, chances are the tank will actually outlast the truck that it's sitting on. I'm not saying you won't have to eventually do some maintenance, but for me, I'm just not a maintenance kind of handy guy, so I need something that's reliable, that I can just put to work every day and go out there and make the money, you know. And so if I can spend a little bit more on the front end to have less maintenance down the road, that's kind of my philosophy. So I was talking about swapping over from one side to the other. And the way I set mine up, what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of a blue dye in the small side. Not because I'm trying to paint the yard blue. I personally don't like painting the yard blue. I put just enough blue dye in there to be able to see the difference in the color. So what it means is, let's say this side's set up for Bermuda zoysia, this side's set up for centipede. Well, what I'm spraying on Bermuda and zoysia, let's just say I've got 2,4-D in the tank as part of the mix. Well, I don't want to put 2,4-D on the centipede or the St. Augustine lawns. So I need to know when I get on that centipede lawn, I'm no longer spraying out of this side of the tank, but I'm spraying out of this side. So I put the blue dye in here. Okay, so this side, let's just say I've got prodiamine in there. And so this side is yellow, and this side turns out slightly green because it's got the yellow plus the blue, and that makes green. So if I want to switch over from one side to the other, when I have all these valves turned in this position, it's spraying out of the big side. If I want to spray out the other side, I simply flip these two valves up. Now it's spraying out the other side. Now, you got to think about this. There's still water in the hose, okay? So the water in the hose is coming from the big side. It's going to be the color of the water in the big side. So I need to spray that back into the big tank. As soon as the water color changes to the color of the water in the small tank, in this case green, then I know, boom, I'm spraying a mix that doesn't have 2,4-D in it and is safe for the centipede lawn. So that's just an example of how I would use two tanks, why I'd put blue dye in one, and how I would switch it over from one side to the other. Anyway, I'm gonna put a link in the description if you need to, check out the Graham website and see what kind of setups they got. They have bigger, fancier, more expensive rigs if you want that. They have smaller rigs too. But I just wanted to show you the one that I've got. And again, basically the main difference is I've just got one 400 gallon, one 300 gallon, but the setup is virtually the same on my two units. And I've been very happy. So if you haven't done so, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I hope to continue to provide some equipment recommendations, advice for you in the lawn business. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Leave a comment below if you have a question. Thanks a lot.